A pleasant day, hard-working grade 10 students. Welcome to our new journey in learning the English language. Before anything else, a big congratulations once again for accomplishing your previous activities. Our topic for today is analytical listening and problem solving. Let me give you the reminders. Write your answers on your answer sheet. Don't forget to write your name on your answer sheet. Always visit your FB group to check on announcements. Don't hesitate to post your questions in the FB group or simply chat your subject teacher. Before we start, let us first have a review. Identify what are described by the following statements. Give only the letters of your answers. You have 5 seconds to answer each question. Let's get started. Question number 1. These sources provide information in details segregated into chapters or parts. What are these? Is it A, scholarly articles, B, books, C, government documents, or D, news and magazine articles? Time's up. Let us see. What is your answer? The correct answer is letter B. Question number 2. These are sources containing timely, brief, and non-technical explanations of events or commentaries for the general public. What are these? A. Scholarly articles, B. Books, C. Government documents, or D. News or magazine articles. Time's up. Let us see if your answer is correct. The correct answer is letter D. Question number 3. These are reports, censuses, policies, data, and statistics issued and published by the government and its attached agencies. What are these? A. Reference materials, B. Books, C. Government documents, or D. News or magazine materials. Time's up. Let us see the correct answer. The correct answer is letter C. Question number 4. These are sources providing answers to questions such as statistics, maps, background information, redirecting to additional sources. What are these? Is it A. Reference materials, B. Books, C. Government documents, or D. News or magazine articles? The correct answer is letter A. Last question, question number 5. Which form of source accessibility provides additional information through listening skills? Is it A. Text accessibility, B. Image accessibility, C. Audio accessibility, or D. Video accessibility? Time's up. Let us see if your answer is correct. The correct answer is letter C. Congratulations for accomplishing our review. You are now ready for a new lesson. Let us now discuss analytical listening and problem solving. Here are the objectives of this lesson. Describe analytical listening and problem solving. Employ analytical listening to solve existing problems, and last, examine an excerpt or song listened to. This lesson highlights the importance of analytical listening and gathering details and collecting information. It is said that analytical listening is a key to problem solving. How can listening help to solve a problem? First, we have to understand what is listening and what is analytical listening. Let us start with what is listening. It is the ability to accurately receive and interpret messages in the communication process. It is also the key to all effective communication. It is said that without the ability to listen effectively, messages are easily misunderstood. So we could commit error if we are not going to focus to what are the things that are being told to us. So we have to listen very carefully. Now, what is analytical listening? It is sometimes called critical or active listening. It deals with one's ability and capacity to carefully and properly analyze the sounds listened to. It involves comprehension, distinguishing, and categorizing information listened to. Analytical listening requires a deeper level of understanding as you process all information you have listened to. It deals with our ability to analyze, categorize, and process varied information listened to and be able to use those information. From the definitions presented, we can directly say that if listening is not practiced properly, a problem may arise. We may misunderstood or misinterpret an information forwarded to us by the speaker. It only tells us that we have to be very careful in listening and reviewing all details before we come up into conclusions. There are five stages of analytical listening. Let us first discuss the listening process. Does it goes? Of course, we have to have a speaker, someone who gives the information. He is the one who is transferring the information to another person who is called the receiver. And the receiver's position is to receive and listen to what are the things that are being told or said or mentioned and discussed by our speaker. Now, here are the five stages of the sequential processes of analytical listening. We start with the receiving stage, then the understanding stage, followed by the evaluating stage, then the responding stage, and the remembering stage. Let us discuss each stage one by one. The first stage, which is the receiving stage, it refers to actual hearing process. In here, the listener has to check him or herself if he or she is able to hear clearly the sounds and other sound points. At this point, you have to ask yourself, are you hearing all the information coming from the speaker clearly? This stage is important because if you are not going to listen effectively and attentively to your speaker, no information will be absorbed. Meaning to say, you are not going to understand anything if you have not listened to your speaker or to someone who is talking to you. Next stage is the understanding stage. It focuses on generating meaning on what has been heard. In here, The connection on communication between the listener and the speaker must be clearly established. The speaker and the listener should have the same understanding. At this point, you should be starting to categorize and analyze all the information that you are hearing from your speaker. After receiving the information coming from the speaker, you should be categorizing them in your mind based on their meanings or similarities. At this point, your understanding of the information should be the same way on how the speaker understands his talk or his discussion. Third stage is the evaluating stage. It requires both the speaker and the listener to meet in between regarding the points portrayed in the listening process. The listener critically examine details. This is the time for the segregation of information. At this point, a deeper level of understanding is required. In this stage, you as the listener is already processing all information you have heard. It already means that the speaker had already established what he wants his listener to know. And you, as the listener, have already checked and grouped information based on their importance. You already know what data are important or not. Fourth stage is the responding stage. This allows the listeners to provide verbal and or non-verbal feedback and responses based on the listening context. It is the moment where you give your reaction as you understood the information you heard. This is the time where you are giving your reaction or feedback to the information that you have heard. Are you satisfied with the information or are you not satisfied with the information? Are you happy with the things that you have heard or you would want to argument with the speaker on the things that he had mentioned? It's up to you or it is based on your own understanding on how you understand what the message of the speaker on how you are going to react on the information that you have processed. The last stage is the remembering stage. It is a personal stage for the listener, allowing his or her to integrate in him or herself the information heard, recording a listener system for future use. In the remembering stage, you already have the understanding of what you have listened to from the speaker. But it is up to you if you are going to keep the important information that you have heard for future use or not. It's up to you to remember what the speaker says, or it's up to you not to remember them all. Now let us discuss analytical listening as key to problem solving. How it happens. Let us see. Analytical listening is a very helpful strategy in problem solving activities. In solving a particular issue or concern, it is important to identify first the significant information required. Here are the questions that we have to answer from a listening text. If you are going to listen to a text, you have to answer these questions or to spot the answers to this question as you are listening to the text. And these are the questions, the WH questions such as what, who, why, where, when, and how. If you will be able to answer these questions, of course, you will come up with a solution. There are 4 steps to solving a problem based on the American Society for Quality on year 2020. First step is to define the problem. You have to understand your problem and identify all the areas it covers. In step number 1, you have to know what is your problem. If you are not going to know, or if you will not be able to know or identify your problem and the areas, factors that is related to it, you will not be able to start solving the problem. Next, step number 2, generate alternative solutions. You have to think of the solutions to solve the problem. But you should always remember that one solution is not enough to solve a problem, because it may seem that a solution that you first think of may not be suitable to solve the problem. So you should always have your plan B. Step number 3, evaluate and select an alternative. Do not stick for a single strategy in solving a problem. Think of different ways to take your action. It is just the same way, or it is the same as step number 2. Do not stick with one strategy in solving your problem. You should always have your plan B in solving any problem, because one strategy may not be suitable for the problem you are solving. So you have to think of different strategies. And for our last step, implement and follow up on the solution. Once a solution is formed, apply it. Put your ideas into action. Check the effectiveness of your given solution. Once you have applied your solution to the problem, make sure that you're going to check it if it is effective or not. Because if not, of course, you're going to apply your plan B. And if not again, you should have your plan C, or another strategy to implement to solve the problem that you are targeting. That is all for today. Hope you've enjoyed our lesson and our discussion. God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching. Until our next journey to learning English.